Hello, so my name is Dr. Nidhi Gupta. Today we are going to discuss another topic in human computer interface, that is create meaningful graphics, icons and images. So we all know that the screen design, this designing of computer screen consists of pictures, multimedia, animations, all this constitutes the graphics, text, all this constitutes the graphic portion. And along with that, we are having icons that are available and the images as well. So, whenever we are dealing with the interface design issues, so our focus is on the graphics part, that how can we create the graphics which are meaningful, which are user friendly to the user, and the user should not be distracted by its color, its size, the space it is allocating. So there are certain issues so that we need to tackle down when we go for a meaningful graphic, icons and images. So the lecture discusses the creation of graphics. So the first is the creating images, how we can create an image. So by creating a familiar and concrete shapes, we need to do create visually and conceptually distinct. The shapes should be distinct, the two shapes should not be same. Incorporate unique features, do not display within a border, because the border should be clearly visible, that this is the border of this image, and outside the border there is another if it is there. So it should clearly reflect the object represented. Simple reflex object should be represented, and it should avoid the excessive details in that. We cannot some background, if we are focusing on a particular image just like a camera, so there is no need to show the background of the camera as well. Only the object need to be displayed, that is clear enough. So unnecessary information should not be there. So it provides consistency, should be there in an icon, because if the same image or the same concept is being used in multiple windows, in multiple screens, then what we need to do, we should maintain the consistency. It should be same throughout. So the creating shapes of the proper emotional tone need to be there. So similarly, the icons are the most often used to represent the objects and its actions with which the user can interact. So icons may be standalone on a desktop or a window, or it may be grouped together in a toolbar. So this icons we always see on the screen, the similar icons are grouped together so that it should be friendly to the user, that user need to go to that particular place and it finds multiple icons over there only. So a secondary use of icon is to reinforce important information, a warning icon in a dialog message box. So characteristics of icons are syntactic, semantic and pragmatic characteristics are there. So syntactic, if we are talking of, talking of the physical structure of the icon. So we are talking of this shape, color, size. So similar shapes classify a group of icons. So similar type of icon should be grouped in a particular category. Semantics is always dealing with the meaning. So if we are talking of a recycle bin, so the recycle bin, if we are placing a camera for recycle bin, it is not making any sense. The user is not able to recall that this camera means recycle bin. So what we need to do is, we need to place the icon according to its semantic, according to its meaning. So for this recycle bin, the Windows always used a basket, recycle basket, so that is all good enough. So similarly, the file folders, we can see cut, copy, paste, the scissor is there for cut. It's quite catchy that okay, this is for cut. So all it should relate to a meaning. Similarly, pragmatic is how the icons are physically produced and depicted. So resolution, just like we are having the image, if we are having the icon, so is it properly visible, it is properly produced on the screen, the resolution that it is having, these all things we need to consider. So syntactic, semantic and pragmatic determine an icon effectiveness and usability. So few influences on icon usability are the icons should be familiar, clarity should be there, it should not be unambiguous, simple, consistent, it has some meaning, it relate to the meaning, actually it should be efficient. So there are many situations when the icon is taking a lot of space, so it is not efficient for the screen because it is taking a lot of space. So we need to consider all these factors when we are going for the icon, using any icon on our screen. So we also consider the context in which the icon is being used and expectancies of the user, what it is expected to do, and complexity of task. So all these considerations should be there. So a successful icon looks different from other icons. It's obvious what it does and are represented. Is recognizable when no larger than 16 pixels square. So the size matters. So look as good in black and white as in color. Size. The supply, a standard size should be there. Like 16 into 16, the small but good enough. 24 into 24, 26 into 26 pixels, 32 pixels into 22 pixels. Standard size of the icons are generally preferred, so that it can be, the same size can be used on multiple windows, multiple screens, and it is quite consistent. And use colors from the system palette. So it provides as large a hot zone as possible, as the icon's hot zone, the area within it that allows to be selected, and should be large as possible. So with stylus or pen, we have the size limitations, or we can have a standard size 15 pixels square. So these size are recommended so that it should clearly visible and appropriate on the screen. So choosing the icon using existing icons whenever available. So the standard icons are always preferred. As I told you that semantic we need to take care, and also the standard one, if Windows is using the basket for the recycle bin, then if I am making any screen, then it's better to use basket, so that the user can recall easily. Otherwise it would happen like if every other application is using the different icons, so it is not the user friendly, and user need to remember those things, and it would create a problem for the user, and it may happen that your application is not suited to the users. So to make it user friendly, we should always go for the standard icons. So use images for noun, not for verbs. So use traditional images is often work better than the newer ones, because the every kind of people are able to recall that okay, these kind of images means the scissor means like cutting the things, lens means we are searching. So these are some standard conventions that we are seeing in multiple windows, multiple screens, and it is quite good to use those. So creating the images, it should visually and conceptually distinct shapes should be there. It should reflect the object as represented. Excessive detail should be avoided. So all these guidelines are there. Now when we create the images, so we can see over here that file, folder, image, familiar image is this and unfamiliar image is this. So which is better? Obviously this one, it is indicating that it is a folder. The word MS Word showing the folder like this. Book, it is representing the real world object like this, or book. But icon, if it is icon of this type, it is not indicating that it is a book. The user need to recall every time, oh, this icon is for the book. So to make it user friendly, similarly the telephone. So these are the some examples of familiar shapes that we should go for while making the icons. Similarly, over here we can see that this design of the clock, we can see that this clock is being, it is showing the clock, but what about this frame? Why this frame is necessary? Not necessary. So we should remove it. We should remove the things which are not required to us. So this clock is, this one is good enough that we are getting that this icon is for the clock. Similarly, we can go for the charts, letters, document, file, icons, the chart in the file, the chart in the document. We can always see the, just like this is a document and this is a chart. So this is a chart in the document. So this is a chart in the file. So this is a structure of a file. Inside that there is a chart. So it is easily giving us the idea that which kind of icon it is this. This is a letter in a document, letter in a file. So all these things are there. So drawing images, providing consistency in shapes over varying size. Do not use triangular arrows in design to avoid confusion. When icons are used to reflect varying attributes, express these attributes as meaningful as possible. So proper scaling, orientation is always required, and dimensions need to be taken care of while going for images. So icon animations and auditions. So animations are the visual effects that we can put on the screens to make it catchy, to make it easy for the user to understand. So for visual interest, it should be make it interruptible or independent of user primary interaction. Do not use it for the decoration. So just use it as and when it is required. Just, it is not necessary to place the animation on the screen. So if the work can be done without animation, we should go for it. So we should not think like placing the animation is very much required. If it is required, we need to place it. Otherwise, it may distract the user. Auditions, the object may sound as they are touched, dragged, bumped against one another, opened, activated and thrown away. So auditory icons are computer sounds replicating everyday sound producing events. So these auditory icons are very helpful when we do any action on the screen. So the design process is the define the icon purpose and the use, collect, evaluate and sketch the ideas, then draw in black and white on the paper, draw using icon editing utility or the drawing package, test for user expectancies. If we are making it, we should test it that it is actually recognizing the things, it is user is able to learn or not. If it is expected by the user, it is as expected by the user, then we should test the things and then we can register the new icon. So this is the workflow that should, the design process that should go on when we are proposing any of the new icon. So we should evaluate it, we should design it, we should test it with the user and then only it can be registered. So graphics in the web, use graphics to supplement the textual content, not as a substitute for it. Obviously, because textual component has its own purpose. If we are not writing any text and just putting the multimedia images, so it won't serve the purpose that as the text do. So if the text is required, we should place the text only. So to convey information that can't be effectively accomplished using text, because graphics is not conveying every information. So to enhance the navigation through presenting a site overview, identifying site images, identifying content areas, so the limit the use of graphics that take long time to load, coordinate the graphics with other pages elements. So we should think of it before placing the graphic, that it should not hinder the actual intention of the screen. Now images, use standard images, image internalization is required, to provide descriptive text or labels with all the images, distinguish navigational images from decorative images. So we should minimize the number of presented images. The size of presented images should be considered. Image animation, number of colors that we need to use for the image. The image should be in GIF, JPEG. So all these things matters, because GIF, JPEG, which kind of image we are making, because there are the problems for lossy and lossless things. So some pixels may get lost when we transfer any image from one computer to another in case of lossy images. So we need to consider for the appropriate extension of the image. So pictures or photographs used when every aspect of the image is relevant. Use JPG format on the initial page. Display a small version. Then a thumbnail is required. Zoom in or most relevant detail. So all these things that we need to think of. Use link to large photos showing as much detail as needed. So we can place the link as well for the large photographs. For video, to show the proper way to perform a task, to provide a personal message, to grab the attention, to provide controls for pausing, stopping, playing. So all these things should be there. Do not go for automatically download a video into a page. So it should always ask for it, that whether do you want to download a video or not. So all these things for the video considerations. Then we have diagrams to show the structure of object, to show the relationship of object, to show the flow of a process, temporal relationship. All this covers inside the graphics. Now animations, when we go for graphics in the web page, the animation can be inserted as we discussed to explain the ideas involving a change in time and position. We go for animation if we want to show that during this span of time these things are changing. So we can go for animation. If it is orientation is there, it is moving, it is positioning, it is some place, then we can go for animation. So to illustrate the location or state of a process, if it is changing, to show continuity in transitions, to enrich graphical representations, to aid the visualization of 3D structures, to provide a freeze frame and stop mode, avoid distracting the animation. So all these design considerations need to be done when we go for graphics in web page. Auditory. So use a supplement to text or graphics. Sometimes it is used as a supplement to establish the atmosphere, to teach the people, to create a sense of place. So it provides a audio control, play, pause, all these things should be accompanied with the auditions. So when we combine some mediums, just like use sensory combinations that work best together, just like auditory, text, screen text, all these we can combine into a one of the medium, one of the screen. So both visual and auditory information should be totally relevant to the task. We should not place it just like we want to place it so that people should say like it is having the animation, but if it is not necessary, do not place it. Visual and auditory textual narrative should be presented simultaneously. Considering the downloading time is one of the criteria. Testing need to be done, it should be accepted by the user. So in the web also we need to go for this design process, and then only we should think it of, take the decision that whether we go for the animation or not. Now the colors. Obviously the colors plays an important role in any of the screen design. Some colors are catchy, some are quite normal, some are quite faded. So we need to consider the choosing of appropriate color for our application, so that we can focus on the things that we want to, and some should not be focused and we can place the normal colors or faded colors so that it should not distract the user. So all these considerations should be done when we think of the taking the decision that which color we should use for which icon, which image, which animation. So use color to assist in formatting, relating elements into a grouping, breaking apart separate grouping of information, highlighting or calling attention to important information. So for all these three things, we go for the colors. If we want to group the elements, similar elements, we can place the similar colors over there. We can want to focus on particular thing, we can go for highlighting the colors. So use colors as visual code to identify screen captions and data, information from different sources, status of information. Use color to realistically portray the natural objects on the screen, increase screen appearance. So obviously it is making the things catchy and appearance becomes good. Some of the problems are there with the colors, like high attention getting capacity. Viewer might associate it, tie together screen elements of same color. If I am using red in two icons or two or three icons, so the user may have the idea that these colors are associated with something. So we should not go for it. It may lead to the confusion, it may lead to the slower reading. So interference with the use of other screens may be there. Varying sensitivity of eyes to different colors. Some people are more sensitive for some colors. Viewing red and blue, sometimes it becomes the eye fatigue. There's some problem with the eye that if the red and blue if seen collectively, the people have the problem with the fatigue. Color viewing deficiencies may be there. Cross disciplinary and cross cultural differences may be there. For financial managers, corporate qualities or reliabilities are need to be considered. For financial managers, for health professionals, some of the colors need to be taken consideration when we go for some typical issues like death. For nuclear reactor monitors, coolness or water we want to show. So this cultural differences, cross domain cultural differences may be there. So we can decide the color according to that. So colors are subjective to contextual effects. Small adjacent colored image may appear to the eye to merge or mix. A color on a dark background will look lighter and brighter than the same color on the light background. So some of the issues are there with the colors. Colors also changes at the light level, it changes. So the use of design of monochrome first or in shades of black and white and grey. So this is a design of monochrome. Earlier screens were like black, white and grey were there, and later on the color came into picture. So that screen will permit the screen to effectively used by the people with the color viewing deficiencies. Monochromatic displays in conditions where ambient lighting distorts the perceived color, and if the color ever fades, then there would be a problem for that. So we should use the color in the particular context wise. It should not be like we are placing the color for anything, any color we are placing it. It should be well decided. So to draw the attention, emphasis means to draw the attention or to emphasize some element, use brighter or highlighted colors. So the perceived brightness of color from most to least, like white, yellow, green, blue, red. So from white to red we can see that they are in a increasing order of brightness. To emphasize separation, use contrasting colors like yellow and red. So we can, it is always showing that there is a separation, red, green, blue, yellow. To convey similarity, use similar colors, orange, yellow, blue, violet. Common meanings, the things which are having indicate that actions are necessary, use warm colors like red, orange, yellow. To provide status or background, use cool colors like blue, green, violet. Confirm the human expectations, just like red can be used for some alarming situation like hot, danger, fire, stop, fire. So as we can see on the icons on the screen, said yellow, it's like for the caution, for slow, for testing. Green, go, okay, clear. So all these colors are indicating their existence, their meaning. They are analogous to their meaning. So the color should be appropriate, it should be properly used as they have their meaning. So this is the same, the high illumination, low illumination, what kind of colors that we can use. And in the center of the visual field, use red and green. For peripheral viewing, use blue, yellow, black. Foreground colors, so use colors that are highly contrast with the background color. So foreground colors should be in contrasting so that the text is visible. As we all know, we make the PPT over here. I have made a PPT like it is a white at the background and black in front, so that the text should be easily visible. It should be contrasting. So for text or data, black or light color background of low intensity is preferred. Desaturation spectrum colors such as white, yellow or green or dark on dark background is always there. So the background should be warmer, more active color should be used to emphasize an element, highlight it with a light value of foreground color. We all do generally for making any PPT. We know that the text that we are writing on the background should be visible. We can make it contrasting, we can make its border contrasting. So there are multiple ways that we can go for the color decision when we go for the foreground and background color. So all these informations are all this discussion constitutes the issues, problems, guidelines that we should consider when we are creating any images and we are creating animations on the simple application screens or on the web screens. So it is all required to make it user friendly. So thank you. That's all for the day.